Hello, welcome to Reality Vomit Podcast, an extension of the Vomit series of podcasts. As always, I'm your host, Mac Taylor, and today we are here again to talk some more Big Brother Canada 9, Episode 7, talk about all the shenanigans leading up to the veto, a little bit of live feed talk, and best game, worst game heading into tonight's eviction. So, without further ado, let's jump right in. So we start out, Vic is really gunning for LaToya because basically she says it's because LaToya is a flip-flopper and all of that business. But really at the end of the day, what it comes down to is that LaToya got the spot with the boys that Vic wanted. She got the majority alliance. And Kiefer really dropped the ball this week when it came to gameplay. He just kind of gave up a little bit. Now, we're going to talk in the spoiler section about some stuff he's kind of been doing. But you'll see when it comes to the best game, worst game ranking, he had a little bit of a fall from grace, and he wasn't even all that high up there to begin with. LaToya also kind of tries to prep him to go home. She's like, well, you did what, you won that veto, you looked like a boss, you proved everything you wanted to prove to your wife and your kids. Almost like you going home is good. Be totally okay with going home so I don't. Which is great on LaToya. LaToya is trying, not in the best ways. But, she wants to be in this house. She wants to play this game, and I love people that do. And we see, I talked about, if you were listening to, the spoiler section of my last couple of videos, I did talk about this previously. But it's on the episode proper, so we can talk about it and kind of talk about maybe some stuff they left out of it that may have been pertinent. So Kiefer and LaToya, we're just talking, not game, just kind of talking about personal shit. There's no strategy talk or anything being had. They're laughing. Ro comes in, thinks that they're speaking some sort of strategy. Tries to call them out like, oh, I'm sorry, I missed the conversation and about the laughter, and they don't. This is nothing, This is not anything big. They haven't been caught, so they're not. But also, what do you say to that? When someone says that, there's not a lot of responses to be had. So LaToya goes, oh, I'm sure there'll be more tonight, and Kiefer goes, fireworks. Meaning nothing by it, just trying to respond. Ro immediately runs to Austin and Kyle look, I walked by, they were laughing, I came in, they were like, stuff's gonna go down tonight, there's gonna be fireworks. And I'm like, he kind of twists what they said a little bit. Because what LaToya said is, I'm sure there will be more later tonight even. She says there's going to be stuff. There's going to be more big things happening later. He spins it trying to confirm what his paranoia has led him to believe, right? And basically, Tina had run info before. Tina and Tara specifically had run to Ro to not trust Kiefer. So Kyle goes with Ro to confront Kiefer. And they get kind of aggressive because Kiefer's just trying to make food. And he's talking to Tina and Tara, who get very uncomfortable with what's happening and walk out and leave. Kyle, who's sitting up by Kiefer, looking down on him, speaking loudly. And Ro, who's pacing back and forth by the exit. So Kiefer's like, look, guys, you're being really aggressive here. And we're just playing Big Brother. We're just playing Big Brother. I don't know what you're freaking out about, Kiefer. You're the one that said that. Playing Big Brother. We're just doing what you said. And he's like, guys, the fireworks thing meant it was a personal conversation. Well, why am I hearing my name? Why am I hearing my name, Kiefer? Yeah. People are just getting pulled into rooms all the time. We just wanted a day to relax. We wanted one day, Kiefer, and we couldn't have it because you're putting our names in people's mouth. Just really ramming them. And again, if you want to hear my in-depth talk about this conversation, the last edition of the podcast, I did that. Look at the Monday episode. the episode 6 coverage in the spoiler section, I went in full depth. So I'm not going to go into full detail here because I've already spent a lot of time talking about my thoughts and opinions on how this conversation played out, my thoughts and opinions on Ro, Kyle, and Kiefer as a whole. But nevertheless, it is shown here. And the footage we got after this, and LaToya comes in and she ends up arguing with Rohan about, you guys basically calls them bullies and tells them to get out of there. And then Rohan's like, look, I'm a calm guy. You're bringing this out of me, LaToya. You're calling us liars. How are we liars? And LaToya's just trying to walk away, and Ro because Ro doesn't know how to just let something go. He doesn't know how to just let something happen. He's very bad with that. And I wish he would work on that because I like Ro a lot, but he makes a lot of mistakes. So after all that goes down, Tara and Tina, they're comfortably in the middle of these two alliances going at it. Obviously, that explosion made them very uncomfortable. And Tara's like, I almost wanted to be like, yeah, Kiefer, you said that. Which would have been very bad. It would have completely blown up their spot. So I'm glad Tara felt uncomfortable so she didn't blow up their game. Because to play the middle, you can't expose to both sides that you're playing the middle. So, not the best thing there. But obviously, they just left the conversation. But Tina and Tara are in the best spot. We'll talk about it more later. But to keep playing the middle, you can't just go calling other sides out on their shit. And Tina and Tara are kind of like this duo now together. Because at first, Tara wasn't really given all the information. But now it looks as though Tina's really with Tara 100%. No matter where she goes, Tara will go with her. And Rohan actually has some audacity to blame slop. Like, oh, well, I just haven't eaten a lot because I'm on slop. That's why I behaved the way I did. And I'm like, no, that's a half-assed apology for some of the things. But again, it was more Kyle that was the aggressor to Kiefer. But just to be like, oh, well, I was hungry. Yeah, go fuck yourself. Just say hey, I made a mistake. I came on a little too hot. I should have reeled it back in when he said he was uncomfortable. I didn't. That was my bad. He doesn't do that. And so for that, Rohan could go fuck himself. Again, I don't think he's a bad guy. I don't dislike him. But in this moment, fuck you. And then Kiefer then tells Kyle and Ro he's done with them in the game because of that. There's just no recovery from that. Rohan just doesn't know how to stop talking. Kyle does apologize and does talk to LaToya, although he still blames her for the escalation in a way, which is kind of dumb. But Kyle does come out looking better than Ro in this instance. But LaToya gives him no wiggle room. He's like, hey, we both said things we didn't mean. She's like, no, I meant everything I said. I'm not going to apologize. You were wrong. And it's like, ooh. Again, she's not incorrect, but still, it's like, LaToya is such a savage. She has zero tolerance for anybody at any time. So I enjoy her interactions because of this. And then we see the other side of the house, which is Ro, Kyle, Bray, Austin, Vic, Tina, Tara, as the oddballs, which is the contingency against the Sunsetters, even though Tina is in both alliances. But also, really, if you think about it, Vic's in the worst spot from this. Because she's been doing all this dirty work to take out LaToya, has really blown up her game with some of the ways she's been going at this. And she's also in an alliance with 3 pairs by herself. That's not good. Because obviously Bray is going to look after Austin. Austin's going to look after Bray. Tina and Tara are going to look after each other. And Kyle and Ro are going to look after each other. So in that alliance of 7, you're the bottom because nobody wants to put you above anyone else. Yes, she's close with Bray and Austin. But that's still 3 of a 7. So it's, she's not in a good spot on either side that she sits on, right? And Tina and Tara talk about they want nothing to do with the veto, which they shouldn't. want anything to do with the veto. If Jed takes off LaToya and causes some drama, they know they're not going to go up. If the noms stay the same and LaToya goes home as planned, they don't get any blood on their hands either. If they play in the veto, then they're going to be pressured to use it if they win. So they don't have to solidify where they stand as long as they stay out of the mix of this veto. So that was a common sense thing to be like, yeah, I don't want anything to do with anything that's happening right now. So Kiefer, LaToya, Jed, Ty, and Austin are all going to play the veto this week. So really, it's 4 Sunsetters, 4 people that want to use the veto, 3 on LaToya, 1 on Kiefer, and Austin, who wants to keep the noms the same. So it's really a stacked veto in favor of the other side. Obviously, Jed and Ty would have pulled off LaToya, and also, secure one of the boys' safety as well. It's like the best case scenario. So we get this crossword veto comp, which I kind of like that it's like a crossword. A lot of the times in American Big Brother, things tend to lean toward physical, which would favor Jed and Ty. But this is anyone's ball game. We need more stuff like this. However, Jed does win the POV, and it's really not even close. Like, Austin kind of had something going, but everybody else just sucked. So, Jed winning the POV, Vic is really worried about that. And so she talks to Austin and Bray about, they hate Beth, and Beth would be the replacement nom in reality. But they know they can manipulate Beth, and Beth just has no options in the game. But they're going to threaten Ty to put him up so that Jed won't use it to save Ty. For Austin and Bray, this is great. Because the only person that's going to get hurt by this move besides Jed and Ty and LaToya is Vic. So this benefits them, and they have zero fault in this decision. So of course they're like, yes, that's a brilliant move, Vic. Like, you're so good at this game. Because that benefits them. So Canada, the vote comes up, and they say Bray from being a have-not, which should indicate to the House, who Canada likes. Because Kyle and Rose should come off great this week, but they don't because of the Kiefer stuff, which a lot of people on the feeds who do the voting in general are like, yeah, fuck you guys. And they're not voting. People aren't voting Austin over Bray because Austin fumbled her HOH last week. So Bray's like kind of the one the audience wants to give something to because he's not really made a whole lot of mistakes other than, just hanging out with Austin all the time. So Jed goes to talk to Vic. She's like, go get Ty, too. And Jed's like, this isn't going to be good. And basically, Vic says and again, I covered this in depth on the Monday episode, so I'm going to kind of get through it here. But just know if you want more of that, go to the Monday episode if you need to refer back to that for all the info. So she basically said, this conversation isn't going to be good. If you use the veto on LaToya, I'm going to put up Ty. And they're like, why? Like, you told us we were safe. She's like, yeah, but LaToya's she's a flip-flopper. Really, it's her fault you're in this spot because she flips votes all the time. And I was uncomfortable with the flip last week, and you guys pushed it anyway, so now we're here. And she goes, and then after Kiefer, because she's trying to tell them Kiefer is her target. So it's like, you go through all this trouble to keep LaToya on the block just to go after Kiefer. That doesn't make any sense. And the boys aren't buying it. And she's like, well, but I want to work with you next week. They're like, but you want to work with us, yet you're going to threaten us here. And they correctly suss out. They're like, you're working with Bray, Austin, Kyle, and Ro, which she is. The only the people they don't suspect are Tina and Tara in that alliance. And they're correct in picking out everybody else. They're like, Bray and Austin are up here all the time. You're clearly protecting them to go after us. And then you're going to try to work with us? That's not how this game works. And Vic's like, no. It's your guys' fault. I wanted to work with you. You didn't pick me. And really, that's what it boils down to. She says she wants Vic out she wants LaToya out because she's a flip-flopper and she took out Julie. Really, what this boils down to is Vic wanted to be in with the boys. The boys chose LaToya instead of her, and that hurt her feelings. And that I think that's what a lot of this move comes down to. That's why she's strong-arming it so hard, because this is so inept. You can't threaten to put someone up, and then they want to work with you in the game. You can't have your cake and eat it too, and that's really what Vic's trying to do. She's overplaying real bad, which, she could just let Jed use the veto on LaToya, put Beth up, Beth go home, a sunsetter is still gone. You can try to salvage this relationship with Jed and Ty, and overall, get something done with as little blood as possible. Yes, LaToya was your target. For your game, her going home might be good, but at this point, LaToya isn't all down to go after Vic. But after this whole debacle, if she stays, that's who she wants out. So then she tells LaToya, first of all, she thinks that conversation went solo. She's like, yes, I nailed that conversation with the boys. I'm so good at this game. And I'm like, could you not really tell how bad that went? Like, you're exposed next week. And if, it's getting to the point where even if Jed or Ty win HOH, they might still take you out because of this shit you've done to them now. Even though Kyle and Ro are more of a threat to them, they still might take you out because of this move you're pulling on them. Then she goes to LaToya and says, you're staying on the block. Kiefer's the target, but, you're staying on because I don't want it to flip because you flipped it last week. And so LaToya is having none of this. She talks to all the sunsetters. She says she knows she's the target, and that Vic is now her target. So they get into this big argument where LaToya and Vic really go at it because LaToya is like, you're interrupting me. That's not how a conversation works. And Vic's like, don't talk to me like that. And then it gets real bad. And again, Vic thinks this goes well. And then we're left with a cliffhanger about will he or will he not use the veto. So, that's the end of the episode proper. If you don't want spoilers, go ahead and hop out now. If you're down for spoilers, I'm going to talk about the veto's usage, a little bit of live feed stuff, not a whole lot happened here that I've caught up with. And then we're going to talk about best game, worst game, which will also be a little more spoiler talk as well. So if you've hopped out, see you next time. If you stay with me, let's do this. So Jed does not use the veto. And then right after, Vic says, I wasn't going to put Ty up anyway. So again, she really does want to work with these guys, but she's fucked them so hard. They're not stupid. They made a bad move by not flexing with Austin's HOH to take out Ro. But they're not stupid. They are not going to work with someone who played them and made them look stupid on TV. So, Vic is really, I don't know how she thinks this week has gone well for her. Yes, she made a big move. Yes, she took out a key player in the game. But she wasn't a target. She was just someone who could go up as a pawn. But now she's a target. Now people want her gone. She only hurt herself by being so persistent. I'm not saying she shouldn't have taken a shot, but she shouldn't have tried so hard, fought tooth and nail, for this one person right now on week 3. And then Kiefer did do a little recovery. He did make an alliance with Tina and Tara, the pre-90s. But, granted, he's at the bottom of that, but at least anywhere Tina and Tara float to, they'll probably try to keep Kiefer safe, because not only is he not a threat in the game strategically, but he's probably not going to win a whole lot of competitions. So, this is a good move on Tina and Tara's part to literally keep all options open, and it's not bad for Kiefer, because at least he's going to get drugged for a while. Kyle and Ro want to take out Jed and Ty. Jed and Ty want to take out Kyle, Ro, and Vic. Austin and Brayden hate Beth. So, Kiefer's sitting, if he makes it through this eviction, he's sitting pretty for a while. So now let's go to best game, worst game, where I'll rank everyone from 1 to 12 on their positioning in the game. So at number 1, I have Tina, because she is in a great spot. You can almost pencil her in for Final Four. She's made no enemies. Everyone wants to work with her. She's not threatening in competitions, is what it looks like right now. She's playing a great game. It's just she's a little lacking in the keeping up with people department, but that's a small complaint overall with some other stuff that's happening in the house. So Tina, again, did not change. She was my number one last week. She's my number one this week. She's doing a great job. However, someone who did rise up in the rankings is Tara at number 2. She stepped her game up. It seemed like she didn't really know what was going on here at first, but she's managed to cling to Tina and ride Tina to all these different alliances. Tara is a little more cutthroat than Tina, wants to be a little more edgy, but I think that could ultimately cost her because if Tina or Tara had to go home right now, it's probably going to be Tara. But she's playing a great game, and I think you can also pencil her in to go really far. Number 3 is actually another rise, is Bray, as I think him and Austin are kind of paired up like Tina and Tara, but what gives him the edge over Austin is he did not fumble in HOH last week. Granted, he's not that great at conversing, but he has a better social game than Austin at this time. He does a little better job at faking liking certain people than Austin does, and ultimately I think he would stay if they were up together. So Austin is, of course, at number 4. Again, fumbling in HOH like she did last week would have normally put someone in a terrible spot. But because the Sunsetters, I almost said level 6, because the Sunsetters fumbled the ball on her HOH fumble, it ends up not affecting her and actually putting her in a decent spot. But it could have gone really bad, and honestly probably should have gone really bad for her in that spot. But nevertheless, she finds herself at number 4 here. Number 5, again, we got another pair here. 5 and 6 are Kyle and Roe. I give Kyle the bump because people, even though Kyle is more threatening, he's playing a better social game. He's really, trying to mend fences if he breaks them. Roe is a little more aggressive, a little more sloppy with some of the gameplay. Kyle's a bigger threat, but they like him more than Roe, and that will keep him in the house. And also, Vic fumbling also does him a little service, too. So not a whole lot that he potentially did, but, he's a mover. He's a stick and mover in the game, and I think he'll do better than Roe because of that, even though he should be the number 1 target over Roe. The next people on the list at number 7 and 8 are Ty and Jed. I obviously give Ty the bump over Jed because I think Ty still has a great shot at winning this game. Not to say I don't think Jed can win this game, but I think if they're going to take out one of the boys, which Kyle and Roe plan to do if they win HOH, Jed's going to be the one that goes over Ty. Ty also has a little bit better social game. The only thing that's holding him back is his showmance with Beth, as people really don't like Beth. But at the same time, he has Beth in his pocket, and if she wins a comp, she's going to save him, not Jed. But yeah, they really fell from grace from, I think they were 2 and 3 last time. They really fucked up in not sending Roe home. Not really pushing their agenda, flexing their muscle, and because of that, they're in some real trouble this week. They're going to lose LaToya, and their strong 3 is now a duo, which is a lot easier to hit. At number 9 is LaToya. She's definitely going home this week. She's not good at kissing ass. She's too blunt, and, I don't think she should have been, or I don't think, Vic should have pressed as hard as she did. But LaToya is a threat in this game and should have been dealt with. I just think that, was it worth sacrificing any chance of a relationship with the Sunsetter side of the house in week 3? Probably not. But at the same time, I got to respect the move. Number 11 is Vic. Yes, I think 3 people are playing worse than the person going home. The reason why, I think Vic could very well go home next week if Kyle or Roe don't win HOH. Vic is an easy person if someone like a Tina or a Tara win HOH to get out of the house because she's in the middle. I don't think either side really cares about Vic going home. There's duos all over this game. And Vic is not in them, any of them. No one is looking at, after her back. she's in some major danger. She should have tried to mend fences with Jed and Ty. Should have, tried to smooth things over with LaToya if the veto was going to be used on her. She took a lot of unnecessary chances out of spite for LaToya. And because of that, I think really blew up her game. She's someone I kind of saw going deep. Now I don't see her making jury. So Vic is that low. At number 11, I got Kiefer. He really, like I said, he would be at the bottom if he didn't make that pre-90s alliance with Tina and Tara. He's made a lot of mistakes, kind of gave up there for a little bit, almost took his ball and went home. Like, as someone I had a lot of faith in, I picked him in LaToya coming in. I now have a lot of faith in him moving forward in this game. I think if he makes it to the end, it's because he gets dragged, not because of any fruition of his own. And the bottom tier is going to go to Beth, someone who had all the options last week, who could have went with either of the boys she was showmancing, the Sunsetters, Austin and Bray, Kyle and Reich. She had relationships with all these people, and then because of getting, people comparing notes, seeing how insincere she was, picking Ty and the showmance, just kept losing allies left and right. Like, people give zero fucks about Beth. If it's actually in someone like a Tina or Tara's best interest to take Beth out, because she has, besides Ty, she has no connections, and Ty, I think, would prefer to keep Jed in the game than Beth. So, Beth's in a bad spot, and it's all her fault because she didn't manage those relationships as much as she should. And, she went against the row pick because she wanted to hang out with Jed and Ty and not act like she was against them. That just shows how little she really put thought into this game. All right, guys, with that's going to end our discussion on last night's episode of Big Brother Canada 9. Stay tuned tomorrow for tonight's eviction coverage and my thoughts and hopes and dreams heading into next week once we know the new HOH. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, do all that fun stuff, as there's plenty of podcasts and videos coming your way. I'm Mac Taylor. Stay safe. Most importantly, stay nerdy.